So there's a lot of different versions of banana brandy out there, but I think mine's more appealing. Sorry. Ah! I just said, yes, man, right away, anything. Okay, so today we are going to make banana brandy, and if you follow distilling channels like Still It or Beaver DIY or even Tech Ingredients, this isn't a whole lot different except for one key factor. And some of you might have already guessed, we're going to use the peels of the banana to amp up the flavor. So you might be wondering, are banana peels safe to use in something like this? Yes. Banana peels are very often consumed as part of the normal banana eating process all over the world because it's got an incredible amount of nutrients in it, but also flavor. Lots and lots of flavor in that banana peel. Here's the other thing about banana peels. When you bruise a banana and it starts to turn brown, what's happening is the amylase enzyme that's naturally occurring in the banana peel is soaking into the banana meat, the fruit, and it's starting to break down those sugars. The video that Tech Ingredients did, he used commercial enzymes. Beaver, on his channel, he talked about bruising the bananas to help release the enzymes. And I think Jesse cooked some of the bananas in the skin in order to help facilitate that starch breakdown. I'll just go ahead and make a banana brandy playlist and put that up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this thing going because we got a lot to do. We're gonna make a 5-gallon or 20-liter batch. So we need about 15 pounds of bananas. That's this much in metric. And we also need about 7 pounds of sugar, and that's this much in metric. One thing I want to point out, because we're using the peels for the bananas, we want to actually make sure that they're organic because you don't want to have a bunch of pesticides and crap on there. Whether you worry about that kind of stuff or not, it may actually affect the fermentation, so it's better to go organic and spend a little bit more money on it. So now that we've got our sugar weighed out, we're going to go ahead and invert the sugar. So if you've never used inverted sugar before, it's really simple. We're going to take our 7 pounds of sugar that we weighed out and 2 gallons of water and about a tablespoon of lemon juice. Throw that all together and bring it up to a low simmer for about 20 minutes in order to break down the molecules in the sucrose of the sugar into glucose and fructose. It makes it a little bit easier for the yeast to digest, and it helps to sort of reduce that sugar bowl flavor profile in whatever you're making. Okay, so while the sugar syrup is simmering away, we're going to go ahead and bruise all of our bananas and let them sit while that syrup is cooking and then cooling down to room temperature. And that'll give the amylase enzymes in those peels a chance to start working on the flesh of the banana to start softening it up and converting the starches into sugars. It's been a couple of hours and the bananas are not as brown as I thought they were going to be, but they are very, very mushy. I think if I left them for a full day, they'd probably brown up even more, but I don't want to wait that long. And also I kind of don't have to. I can kind of do this as a parallel fermentation mashing, because since we're putting in the skins with the banana fruit, the enzymes are going to continue to release into that liquid and into those banana starches and break it down into sugars the entire time it's fermenting until all the starches are broken down or all the enzymes are used up. Now, if you want to, you can always use some commercial enzymes to help the process along. If you want to do that as kind of a backup to make sure you get all of the starches converted no matter what and there's no guessing, then go ahead. It's not going to hurt it at all. I'm not really going to worry about it since I'm going to have such a large mass of the banana peels actually in the wash. If I wasn't going to do that, then I would use commercial enzymes. But since I am, because I need the flavor from these peels, I'm just going to go ahead and, let nature do its thing. Before I get this into the fermenter, I want to say one really, really important thing. When you ferment bananas, it foams up a lot because the bananas are sticky, they're gloopy, they have a lot of starch in them. So as it starts fermenting, it can make some serious foam in your fermenter and end up giving you a blowout. So it's always recommended to Basically make your batch and then split it into 2 fermenters so that you have plenty of headspace for that foam to grow and then drop. Luckily, I don't have to do that because I have a giant bucket. This is a 12-gallon bucket, and so it has more than enough room in it for the 5-gallon batch that I'm going to do. Always pay attention to that warning. Don't put babies in buckets. Anyway, that's a lot of talking. Let's get to mashing. All right, so once you get your bananas peeled, just throw in your inverted syrup and then hit them with a paint mixer or a little hand blender like this. Okay, so now that that's all done, we're gonna chop up these, throw them in, and then get everything locked up. Now all we need to do is add our yeast and our yeast nutrient and then top the whole thing up with the amount of water that we want to bring it up to 5-ish gallons. I'm going to be using Fermentation K. We need 1 1/4 teaspoons. And for the yeast, I'm going to use some K1V1116 from Lalvin. So this and the yeast nutrient, I'm going to put Amazon links down in the video description if you want to get some for yourself. This one has a tendency to leave a lot of the brighter aromatics inside the wash rather than cooking them out like champagne yeast can kind of do. And now we're just going to add water until we get up to about roughly 5 gallons. Now there's a lot of solids in here from the banana peels, probably about 1/2 gallon's worth, maybe more than that. So I'm going to account for that, and I'm going to go a little bit higher than 5 gallons. Keep in mind it's going to affect the yield a little bit, so you can have more liquid with a smaller amount of alcohol in it, so you may have to do a couple of runs instead of just the one. So I did a hydrometer reading and it's about 1.062. Now the problem is the mash is very thick and there's not really anything I could do about that other than guess. Doesn't quite come back to the same spot. If I had a refractometer, I'd be able to get some of this, just a drop of clear liquid, and tell exactly what it is. Right now it's saying it's 1.062. Maybe that's accurate, maybe it's not. I did add a little bit more water, so it's a little lower than what I was expecting, but not by too much. Anyway, we're gonna let this sit for well, till it's done fermenting, and if there's anything significant in the meantime, I will update you then. Alright, so I've been fermenting the banana brandy out here in my garage, where it's been about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It's only been about 7 days, and this stuff has fermented. See how low that thing is? It's basically 0.992. So it went down past 1.000. It is incredibly robust with alcohol. So I think it's time to send this stuff off to the liquor fairy. Hello again. Welcome to my bathroom. Since the banana brandy wash is done fermenting, we need to strain it before I send it off to the liquor fairy. The main reason is because we've got so much pulp in it. So basically we're just gonna strain everything through this wire mesh strainer and colander and let it, you know, drain slowly to get everything through. After you get everything strained, let this sit overnight and clear up, and that'll keep everything down to the bottom, and you'll have a nice clear wash to use in your boiler, hypothetically. And if you happen to have a thumper that you can put all of your banana peels and a little bit of the wash into, so much the better. Hopefully we'll get a nice strong banana flavored brandy back from the liquor fairy. So I'm gonna get this buttoned up and then ship it off to the ferry. So the liquor fairy did a low and slow run and then dropped off all of these jars for me. Now we just need to go through them. I'm gonna go ahead and just put all the hearts together. So let me get a big bowl to throw all this in, and then we can start deciding what we want to use from the hearts, and then we'll do a tasting. Alright, so off of the bowl here of the hearts, I'm getting some sugar and banana, and it almost kind of reminds me of Bananas Foster, like cooked bananas, which is odd because I didn't cook any of my bananas. It was all cold when I did it. So let's go ahead and check the heads jars and see if we want to add anything. This one right here, banana cream or banana ice cream. Yeah. If you know anything about blending, if you're doing a whiskey, you really don't take too much of that. You take mostly the hearts. But for brandies, most of your flavor is going to be up in these heads. So you can season some in a little bit just to bring out those flavors, and it makes the spirit a lot more enjoyable and, in my opinion, a lot more useful. So I think it's a good idea to at least consider using some of the heads in your brandies. Yeah, wow, that brightened it up a lot. Okay, on the first taste, you get that kind of sweetness, that sugary kind of cooked banana flavor. It has a little bit of the banana skin. Now, here's one thing I will say about using the banana skins in the mash. To me, I think I got a higher ABV. It fermented way past dryness. Also, the mash, to me, I think from the amylase enzymes that are in the peels, seemed a lot thinner. It was very much wine-like by the time I strained it. And the pulp really seemed to stick together in the sieve. And I only ended up with maybe a half an inch of sediment down in the bottom of my bucket after I left it to sit overnight. I would definitely recommend using the peels if you're going to do a banana brandy. I mean, right now, it's good. It's got a banana and sugary kind of flavor to it and aroma. All right, so now that we've got our delicious banana brandy at 74%, I kind of want to do something so that the non-hobbyists that I might give this to can enjoy it as a banana brandy. And this is not to talk down about people who aren't in the hobby at all. Most people's experience with something called banana brandy or banana rum or whatever is really strongly flavored of bananas. This isn't super crazy strong of banana. I mean, if you smell it, you're like, oh, bananas. But it doesn't have that kind of, I bought this in a liquor store and it says the word banana on it. Usually if you get something that tastes like banana, it's gonna have almost a fake banana flavor to it. And I don't really want that. What I'm looking for is something that tastes pretty strongly of banana and is, you know, something that everybody can make cocktails with at a party, and they're not going to be like, you know, what is this stuff? So what we're going to do is actually turn this into a chocolate banana liqueur. Yes. And that brings me to today's sponsor, Olive Nation. So if you don't know, Olive Nation makes extracts and flavorings and ingredients for baking and brewing. One of the things that they sell is cacao nibs. Now, if you've never used these, they're little like kernels off of cocoa beans. They have a very intense chocolate aroma. I mean, it's just wow. And these are very fresh. It makes you feel like you're swimming in chocolate when you take a big whiff of it. These are so good. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use these to add some cocoa essence or chocolate flavor into our banana brandy to make the banana liqueur. I highly encourage you to check out the Olive Nation website. So if you use my link down in the video description or in the top comment, you're gonna get a very tasty discount on everything that you buy off of the site. These cacao nibs, check out their sugars, because they've got maple sugar in case you want to try something interesting, and they've got tons of flavoring extracts that if you're in this hobby you can use them for vodkas and hard seltzers, things like that. If you take a look, I'm positive you're going to find something that you need. So check them out down in the video description. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a banana syrup, then we'll move on to the next step. just going to close this up and let it sit at least overnight. You can let it sit for, a couple of days. So what's going to happen is the sugar is actually going to pull the liquid out of these banana peels and create its own syrup. Every time you walk by, just give it a little shake. If it looks like there's some chunks of sugar that are not getting dissolved, go ahead and, get in there and stir it up with a spoon. It's not going to hurt it. Within just a couple hours, this will be mostly liquid, and then by tomorrow morning, it'll be all liquid. So the next thing we need to do to get this banana liqueur done is to go ahead and infuse the banana brandy with our Olive Nation cacao nibs. So I'm going to go ahead and use 3 tablespoons. I'm going to just throw your lid back on and give this a shake whenever you walk by it also. So we're going to let these sit overnight so that the flavors get really, really intense. So I will see you tomorrow morning. So it's been 24 hours, and this is the banana brandy with the cacao nibs. It's fully infused, and I took a little smell of it about 6 hours ago, and it was already quite special. This, as horrible as it looks, is the banana syrup. Again, this is just chopped banana peels and sugar. All that liquid in there came out of the banana peels. It's just drawn out of there by the sugar. Let's see if we got any chocolate aroma. Oh yeah. Definitely. So now all we're going to do is strain out the cacao nibs. It's almost pink. It's got so much color to it. And I'm also going to measure out my alcohol and see exactly how much I have so that I can do a little math here. And man, I am so good. Look at that. 400 mils. Now that I know how much alcohol I have, I can use a proofing calculator to figure out how much total liquid I need to dilute this down to about 35% ABV. Now we're going to strain the banana syrup and let that drain for a little bit, and then we're going to measure that volume. Then we'll do a little bit of math, and that will tell us how much water we need to add to bring it all the way down to 35%. Alright, so now that both of those are drained, we're going to mix everything up in our final jar. So in goes the cacao infused banana brandy. It's 74% and 400 mils. I've got about 100 mils of the banana syrup. We're going to go with 230 mils. There we go. And just to make sure we're not wasting anything, let's get the last little bit of sugar water out of here, and then we're going to pour it into our banana syrup jar. I'm going to filter all of this through my banana peels just so I can get every last scrap of the flavor out of here. Once I mix this together, I can let it sit for a couple of days and stick it in the fridge, and most of that sediment is actually going to drop out to the bottom, and then I could just decant this into a clean jar. In my experience, usually if you leave something sitting on a shelf long enough, it's going to clear up. I think it's definitely time for a taste of our chocolate banana brandy liqueur. But before we do that, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my Patreons, all of these folks down here. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. I could not be doing this channel without you. I could not be paying my light bill without you. So thank you very much. I am grateful. Alright, still a little foamy since I shook it up like a ding-dong rather than just stirring it, but whatever. You can smell the chocolate and the banana off of that. Man, that is really good. That's the way to go. For a liqueur, this is maybe still a little bit stout. I'm gonna let it sit for at least a day just to let all these flavors marry and mellow. If you want, go with 3/4 of a cup of sugar and throw in a couple more banana peels. You don't have to go with 3 1/2 a cup. Basically, the idea is use a bunch of banana peels and some sugar, let that make your syrup, and then figure out how much your volume of syrup is and how much volume you need to add to your brandy in liquid to proof it down to where you want, and then that syrup is part of it and the water is the rest. These work like a charm. I could even see going for 2 days. So keep that in mind and make your own adjustments. All right, so I think that is it for this one. Despite the little foam I've got on the top, I think this is gonna clear up really well, and I think it tastes fantastic. I'm really happy with it. I think you should try it. I really do. So remember, if you wanna get some Olive Nation products, link down in the video description and you'll get a discount on anything you buy on their site. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned anything, do me a favor, hit the like button because it really, really helps out the channel. If you want to see what kind of crazy stuff I'm going to keep getting up to, do yourself a favor, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon right next to it so that you can get notified when I post new content. If you have your own banana recipes, even cocktails, go ahead and post them down in the comments section down below. All right, thanks for watching. Talk at you later. Okay, now it's time for the official taster of the Bearded and Bored channel. Mrs. Bored, would you like to try some of this?
It's good. I think I'm drunk now.
That teaspoon knocked her out. Do you think that'd be good in a cocktail? Like a dirty banana cocktail? Look up the dirty banana. I'm pretty sure it's banana brandy or banana rum, Kahlua. I'm gonna give my wife the dirty banana.